You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I am your host. I am your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 8 p.m. until midnight on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Radio X in Europe, and our satellite programming provider affiliates around the world. If you'd like to send us an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our radio website where you can listen to the X-Zone Monday through Friday from 8 p.m. until midnight, as well as the best of the X-Zone for the rest of the 24-hour clock at www.xzoneradiotv.com. And don't forget, you can always listen to the archives and podcasts on our podcast site at xzonepodcast.com. My guest this hour is Lorie Kiviat, and she has been a holistic lifestyle educator for 40 years. Now, her educators, what she teaches includes yoga and shiatsu, preventative rehabilitative therapy, mindfulness mediation coach, feng-shui consultant, and the author of her book, Straighten Up. She has also made a CD available of the Straighten Up 9-week program, which is about the awareness of posture consciousness, so greatly needed at this time, especially with the use of electronic devices wreaking havoc with our posture and physical bodies. Her website is LorieKiviat.com. That's LorieKiviat.com. And Lorie, welcome to the X-Zone.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Lorie, what was it that that got you interested in the holistic lifestyle and the work that you've done over the years?
Wow, this goes back so many years, Rob. It started out with me really wanting to learn how to swim, actually. And I went and joined a club. I learned how to swim, and in the club was a yoga class, and I had gotten a book from my mom years before that, and it was really all about mindful, yoga, mind meaning working with your mind. And I couldn't imagine why that would be in a club, So I took the class, and sure enough, it was about hatha yoga, which is physical yoga, and I was hooked. So that was the beginning of my journey. And one thing led to the other. I was always very attracted to things from the Eastern culture, so that's what led me to meditation and feng shui and macrobiotics and everything like that. Shiatsu, as I said. So that was how I got started on this path. I've been teaching, too, for many years.
Why do you think the philosophies of the East have caught on in such a big way here in the West?
Well, I'm very happy that they have, to tell you the truth. And I think because, we're such a young country. I mean, 200 some odd years old. And these modalities have been around for thousands of years. And so we're finally beginning to understand that they really are helpful and they make a big difference in your life when you practice them.
I know, but if these modalities were really as significant as many people believe and many people say, why has it taken it so long? How come we didn't know about these modalities before now?
I really couldn't answer that. I don't know. It's too bad, as I said, we didn't. But I don't know. I have no idea.
Interesting. Why do you think that these modalities are so important?
Well, because, first of all, yoga is not a what, it's a how. So it's really an approach to your life. And that's very important because, holistic life really is about the body, the mind, the emotions, and the heart and soul of an individual. And if we're, going to develop ourselves as human beings, we really need to develop those aspects of our being so that we're just not a body, we're just not a mind. And that is why the Eastern philosophies are so important, because they do address all of those aspects of us.
Interesting. Lorie, you and I have to take a brief commercial break. Please stand by. Exonation, my guest this hour is Lorie Kiviat, and she is the author of Straighten Up, and she also has a CD entitled Straighten Up, and it's a 9-week program. Her website is www.loriekiviat.com. Lorie and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Once again, send me your emails, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And you can listen to the X Zone 24/7, 365 at www.xzoneradiotv.com. I am Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away. You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Exonation, Lorie Kiviat is my special guest. We're talking this hour about holistic lifestyle. First of all, Lorie, can you tell us what a holistic lifestyle is?
Yes. Holistic lifestyle is one where we are approaching how we handle ourselves and how we deal with our physical bodies, our minds, our emotions, and our spirit. So with the body, starting with the body, we ask ourselves, how do we care for our bodies inside and out? Nutritionally, of course, everybody knows that that's important. I don't have to get into the details of nutrition, but also knowing how to, knowing that when we age, there are certain things we need to do that are really important. We need to know that we can't do anything for too long. We don't want to sit too long. We don't want to stand for too long.
Right.
We just want to, be aware of, most importantly, our posture, because posture really affects everything we do. And if we don't have the right posture, no matter what it is that we do, whether we're playing golf, tennis, whether we're doing yoga or anything, the posture must be right. Otherwise, everything that we do in an incorrect position, we will just develop problems. And that's the reason why I think most people have physical problems as they age. Because they're doing things, without the awareness of how to be in a good posture. So that's why I wrote my book, actually, because I practiced a system that was developed over 100 years ago. And the system was really about functional movement, meaning the movements that we make every day, how we sit, how we stand, how we walk, how we reach and bend and lift and squat, all the things we do all day long. So when you do those things properly, you're using the right muscles, you're not using your joints. Therefore, you're exercising all day long. So, that's really pretty great, It really, you require less formal exercise when you're using your body properly all day long. So when I practiced this, my students saw a difference in me after maybe a few months, and they wanted me to teach it to them, which I did, and we saw a difference in them, and that's when I decided I've got to write a book about this. And then after I wrote the book, I figured out people are having a hard time learning from a book. I better do the audio. So I did the audio, and it's just wonderful. Once you learn this system, it's like a motor skill. It's like learning how to ride a bike or play a piano. Once you practice, it's by repetition. You train the brain, and then it's yours. You own it. You're conscious, and it's just you own your consciousness, and you own your posture. So that's why it's so different. People tell us when we're growing up, stand up straight, our parents, our teachers, whatever. And, nobody ever tells us how to stand up straight. So by writing the book now, I can help people to really understand how that's done, and then, as I said, they own it. That's about the physical body.
What does it tell you about a society where we have to have people tell us how to stand up right, sit down right, have good posture. What does this tell us as a society? Are we really lazy?
No, I think we're just unconscious.
No,
I think that we're never taught. We have to learn things. We're human beings, and we're creatures of habit, basically. And if we don't learn how to do something, we just do it by chance. And by chance, we create a lot of problems in our bodies. So that's the physical part of the holistic life. And also learning how to breathe properly. And I do talk about that in my book and on my audio. So breathing is really important. It affects our nervous systems are affected by the way that we breathe. And then, of course, we have the emotions, which are also, how we feel and how we react to our feelings, how we respond to them. And then, of course, mindfulness, which is about the mind. And I teach mindfulness and I practice mindfulness. It's not a new thing. It's been around for a long time, but it's a very special way of meditating.
Well, what is mindfulness? You're going a little faster. You're not letting me get questions in that I think the audience would be interested in hearing answered. So let's go back a few steps. There are many medical conditions that cause people to slouch and have poor posture as they get older. How does your book Straighten Up work with the medical community, the professional medical community, when it comes to someone who has one of these bone deficiencies that cause the slouching effect or the slooping effect as a person gets older?
Well, I think that as we age, as I said, just by not being conscious, we're affecting our bones. We're affecting our bones by not keeping them upright and standing straight. So as we get older, then of course, as I said, our movements are going to be affected by the way we're standing and the way we're moving.
Right.
So that is the reason why, as we get older, the medical community doesn't really address this, and that's why I want to really get out there and actually teach kids. That's something that I'm really, really passionate about. I want to teach kids because if you can get this when you're young, you'll have it for the rest of your life. When people age, it takes a little bit longer, and sometimes you can just not necessarily reverse things, but at least you can not get worse.
I remember in elementary school and in high school, if you didn't sit up straight, the teacher would come over and basically drag you up to make sure you were sitting straight. And when you were taking physical fitness, you had to stand straight. So once again, my question is, are we looking at a sociological change where people are just being so damn lazy that they don't want to stand up, they don't want to sit up, right? When you look at the kids of today and how they dress, how they act, how they talk, physical fitness is non-existent. The only physical fitness that a kid in today's society gets is whatever handheld device he has in his hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the reason why they're headed for a lot of problems in their bodies as they age because of that. Their heads are hanging forward, their shoulders are slumped over, So that is why I think starting with kids would be a great thing. Like I said, it's good for everybody to have an awareness. And I have been teaching people who are much older, and they get lots out of it.
What do you mean by a simple life?
A simple life is a life that is simplified by being present. When our mind is in chaos, so is our life, so is our behavior. And our attitude affects our life in so many ways. So it's important to be able to develop positive energy, keep things simple. And from a simple life, you gain peace and happiness and health, well-being. You have a much more creative and productive life. Simplifying your life, simplifying your surroundings. How do you surround yourself? Is your life cluttered? Do you have things in your life you don't need and haven't used for many years? That's what simplifying your what surrounds your life, your business environment, your home environment. So that when you can simplify things around you and simplify your life, which comes from meditating, I believe, too, then, of course, as I said, from a simple life, you gain peace and happiness. Aren't we all looking for that?
Yeah, we are, and I know a number of people who have attained peace and happiness without using meditation. So what is the significance of meditation, and how does it actually affect the body?
Well, mindfulness meditation, which really is a very psychological approach to meditation, is basically, it means being present in the present moment. And what actually happens when you meditate mindfully is you're investigating the workings of your own mind and how our minds work. Usually our minds are just totally cluttered with thousands of thoughts per day. So when we have these thoughts, they affect our moods, right? And so they affect our attitude. So when we are in control of our thoughts, we're in control of our lives. And when we're in control of our lives, we can be better partners, we have better relationships, we can be, more present. See, the whole thing is about being present. When your mind is cluttered with thoughts, how can you be present? You're thinking about something when you're talking to somebody, you're not even with them because you've got stuff going on in your mind over and over, or you're judging them, or you're thinking about what you want to have for lunch. But when you're in the moment and you're present, which comes from mindfulness meditation, then you are able to be aware and present.
But in today's world, time is a very precious commodity. You have to multitask. You have to think of more than one thing at a time in order to succeed in life.
There's nothing wrong with having these thoughts. They'll be there. It's like I tell people when I teach them to meditate, if a thought is coming and you think it's so important that you think that thought, it'll wait. You'll think about it later. It's not going to go away. So when your mind is busy and your mind is occupied and you're communicating with somebody, you're really not present. And, I'm not saying that you shouldn't multitask, and I'm not saying that, we need a mind. We need a mind to see how the world works. We need a mind to learn about the world. But when it comes to being present and having a more peaceful life, again, you need to really be in control of your thoughts. It doesn't mean don't have thoughts. It doesn't mean have less thoughts. It just means to be in the present moment. To be in the present moment is really, I think being in the present moment is an overall teaching in all religions, basically. So, I think...
I agree with you that being in the moment is in a lot of the religious philosophies. But let's face it, these religious philosophies are old. They weren't written in modern times where everyone is inundated with news and data 724, 365 from multiple streams at every second of the life. We have to grow with the demands of life. And
yes, life changes,
that's
Rob.
Right. But religion doesn't.
But forget religion. I mean, I don't believe in organized religion myself, personally. But what I'm saying here is that life changes, but people, humans, individuals don't change.
They don't?
We still have a body. We still have a mind.
Yeah.
We still have our emotions. We still have, this is what we're about. And in order to live life in a more productive way, I think that we need to be in control of all these different parts of ourselves. I don't care, how many things we're trying to do at once. I think once we have control of ourselves, we can do things better. We can do things with more accurately and more compassionately, more lovingly. I think that love is the answer to everything, actually. So we're trying to love ourselves, love others, be compassionate, be patient, be understanding. And it doesn't really matter that times have changed and our world has changed. That hasn't changed.
I agree, but however, the times have changed, and we can't expect to live in today's world as we did 20, 30 years ago. It just doesn't work that way, as I see it. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern until midnight, and then the rest of the clock is the best of at www.xzoneradiotv.com. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Kiviat is our guest this hour. www. Do you have your pencils and paper ready? LorieKiviat.com. She is the author of Straighten Up, and her CD, Straighten Up, is available on Music Baby. Her book is available on her website and Amazon.com. We spoke briefly about religion, and I guess I should have said spirituality. So how does, how does Straighten Up relate to our spirituality?
Well, when we are living life in a spiritual way, we are very, shall I say, grateful for our lives. Mm-hmm. We're very centered in our lives, hopefully. And so, a spiritual life is a grateful life, and it allows for faith and trust. Mm-hmm. And as I said before, and before the break, you brought up the fact that we are, in a time now where we're multitasking, yes. We're too busy to do anything. I would like to say that anything that works for a person is going to require discipline. I mean, we do have to have some disciplines in our life, no matter how busy we are, no matter how much we want to accomplish in our lives.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%.
And so, people say, oh, I don't have time for that. Well, you know what? Nobody has time for this. People have to make the time for it. And the way you make the time for it is you have to believe in it. You have to believe that this is going to be helpful. You have to believe when you're eating well that you're going to feel better. Mm-hmm. You have to believe that when you're standing up straight and you're knowing how to use your body, your confidence level is improved. You look better. You feel better. You have a better presentation of yourself. All of these things are very helpful, And spiritually, I mean, when we're in a zone of being conscious, mm-hmm. then we can work with our co-creator, and life just turns out. That's what I found in my life. You have to trust. You trust and you live the life and you follow these basic, disciplines, and suddenly, life turns out.
I have to tell you something. I'm amazed that people actually need a book to tell them how to stand up straight and how important posture is. This is blowing my mind. Like, this is basic growing up.
Not really. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. Because basic posture is about getting the spine to be erect, mm-hmm. and then using the musculature to hold it up there. Mm-hmm. Well, if you don't know how to contact these muscles and use them to get that posture, to stand up straight, to keep the spine erect, you just don't know. And it's not just about doing exercise, doing exercise, listening to music, doing exercise and having television on or something like that. That doesn't really work, because you really need to be conscious of the movement, the mindfulness, so that you're training yourself to really understand how to move. Posture is something that people have to learn. And that's why I love the fact that, that I got on this path, because people never really learn how. And you don't think that people have to learn how, but I believe that they do, because otherwise they don't know,
I disagree with you. I think that posture is something that comes very natural to people. Well, the people that I know, the way that I grew up, my friends, my family, my relatives, going through school, going through the police academy, my adult life, for goodness sake, posture was always important. So, just a second.
Mentioned the police academy.
So, just a second. So, when you're telling me that, that there are people who don't realize the importance, it just blows my mind.
Well, you mentioned school, and you mentioned your teacher came over to you, and she bring you to the front of the class and tell you to stand straight. I don't know what school you went to, but I don't know of any school that does. I don't know anybody that does that. Wow. And your family, you're very lucky. But if you look around at people, just observe people, sit in the airport or anywhere and just look at people, and you will see how many people have good posture. Hardly any. I'm sure that, I'm sure you've noticed that. I know when I teach people how to stand up straight, the first thing they do, they come back and they tell me, Lorie, since I'm learning this, I notice people, my God, I can't believe how many people have poor posture, because it's not an awareness,
No offense, but when I'm traveling or if I'm in an airport, I've got more important things to do than watch people's posture.
Well, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just saying that it is a way to see a lot of people at once, and you can really get an idea of how people do not have posture consciousness.
Gotcha. Does the proper posture and positioning of one's body retard the aging process?
I think so. Yes, I think so, because if you're healthier, you're going to retard the aging process. And if you have good posture, not only are you going to have a better physical condition, but think about it. When you're hanging over and your back and your posture is poor and your shoulders are slumped, excuse me, you are really affecting your organs. They're getting crushed. They're moving to the side, depending on how you hold your body. And this is going to affect your organs. And your organs are, you are your organs. If
Sure.
you have one organ that's not working well, you're sick. So, organs are affected, your blood supply through the body is affected, all of your systems, your digestive system, everything is affected when you are not in a good position with your body.
And I would imagine that with everybody spending a lot more time sitting down instead of getting outside. And, God, kids don't play outside anymore. They would rather sit in front of a boob tube and either watch TV or play with their Xboxes. I would imagine that they would be prime candidates for learning how to sit right. But how are you going to get a child who is part of a group at school to change the way that they sit? Like, don't you have to work with the parents first in order to get it through the parents' mind if the parents are not bright enough to understand the importance of posture?
Well, ideally, that would be great. Just like teaching the teachers how to teach the kids would be better than teaching the kids, of course. But the thing is that, I wouldn't like to really start with kids until they are like 13, 14, right through to 18, because little kids, they don't have the attentive, they're not,
Sure.
their attention span is not there. They can't do it. But it's like even the book and the audio, it's just 25 minutes a day. And I can bring it down to 15 minutes with kids, and if you just keep making them do the same thing over and over, we learn by repetition. So if they do the same thing over and over and over again for a bunch of weeks, it's like I said, it's like riding a bike. It's like any motor skill. And then they will learn, to get up this way, to sit down this way, or to stand this way. It just happens. Believe me, it happens, because I've taught so many people. So many people have improved their posture and their health. So that's all I can say about that. I mean, I think kids are a way to go, though. That is true.
How are you going to get kids anywhere from 13 to 18 to actually stick to a routine for 25 minutes a day?
Well, the book and the audio are 25 minutes a day, and of course, that's geared for adults, frankly.
All right, so kids, so what's the time restraint for a child or a teenager?
Well, I think a teenager can handle 15 or 20 minutes, because you know what? Listen, hopefully, everybody loves their own body. Everybody wants to look good. Everybody wants to feel good. And these movements are so simple. I mean, they are so simple. And they do it once, and they do it twice, and they do it 3 or 4 times. Then they do another one 3 or 4 times. And they do this kind of over and over, the same 15 or 20 minutes over and over. And believe me, it gets embedded in their brain, and then the body knows what to do.
Here's an interesting statistic that may show you where I'm coming from on this. The attendance at a gym is very high in January after New Year's holidays and after the Christmas holidays. Everybody wants to make a change. Everybody wants to go on a diet. Everyone wants to get fit. The average stay of anyone joining a gym is 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no surprise, right?
Okay, so once again, my question to you is, how are you going to get teenagers even to keep a daily regimen of 15 minutes in order to correct their posture?
By being in the school, and by having the school make it compulsory for them to...
But is it the school's obligation? Are we not putting too much on the school? The kids are there to learn.
Yeah, but the kids have also been there for years doing physical education.
But what about the parents? What about the parents? Shouldn't the parents take this responsibility?
Well, I would like that.
Putting it in the school, I think you're just, God, we can't get the kids to get a proper education. Now we want to throw in a little bit more. Hey, I agree with you. It's a great idea, but I don't see it happening.
Well, you know what? I'm working on it with a lot of passion, and I'm going to make it happen because I think that that's why in a school it can be done. If it's going to be done at home, then of course it has to be done with the parent. But the parent is a person who I'm very interested in as well. It's not just the kids. But I think that if the kids have this incorporated in the program somewhere, and it's not forever, it's just for, a number of weeks, because I believe that in a number of weeks it will happen. They don't have a correct physical activity program anymore. It's not the way it was when we went to school.
What?
So they have to have some kind of physical education as well as mental education. I think we're a body, we're not just a brain. We're a body too. And I think that we learn better when we feel better, and we learn better when we're more conscious of our presence, where we are on the planet, in our bodies.
The school system these days is very political. It's very, very political. I lost a lot of faith in the school system many years ago. I think that they were overtaxed, they're underpaid, and it came to the point where they just don't give a damn anymore.
Yes, you're right. And you know what? To clarify, I am really approaching private schools. And I've had some meetings already. They're very interested, and have another meeting coming up next week. They're very interested because they have the budget, and also because they are thinking outside the box.
But just by going after the private schools, isn't this like saying, all right, the rich kids can get it, the poor kids can't?
No, it's saying that the public schools are not interested. It is political with them, and there's no way for them to change. They're rigid.
I see.
And so I'd love to do it in the public schools too, but they're not entertaining this idea at all.
If I was to ask you what the 5 top benefits of anyone buying your book or buying your CD would be, what are they?
What were the five benefits? Okay.
Yeah, the 5 top benefits.
Okay. I think that when a person has good posture, they have more confidence in themselves. I think that when they have good posture, they're going to feel better. They're going to have a healthier system within their bodies. As I said before, their organs. They're going to be people who, when people see them, they're going to be much more impressed with their presence. And basically, I think, I don't know, I'm not counting. Is that 4?
You're number 4.
I think that when people have good posture, I think that they just exude a sense of, as I said, confidence and awareness. And I mean, it certainly it looks a lot different than somebody that's walking around with their head bent over, their shoulders bent over, So that's a big thing. But overall, it's best for your health. So to me, the health part is the most important part, and then the physical appearance, of course, is important too.
So basically, there are only 2. Physical appearance, because you said confidence. They feel better about themselves, what could be under confidence. They are more impressed with themselves. That could go under confidence. And they exude confidence, all right? That were the 4, and you said on number 3, healthier. So basically, we're looking at looking better and feeling better.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. And you know what? That is really basically that's what people want. People want to feel good. People want to look good. People want to make a good impression. And as I said, impression is one thing, but of course the overall health aspect of it is important. It's just about consciousness, It's about being conscious, being present, being in the moment. And when you start with your body and then you continue with your mind, and you go right through to, your emotional self and your spiritual self. When you have that kind of awareness all around, you're a happier person. You're a more productive person. You have better relationships. Your relationships are better. You can clearly see people and hear people, what they're saying. People know that. People know that when you're present,
Why would you have better relationships?
Well, I just started to explain because, very simply, if you're talking to somebody, right, and you're thinking about something else while they're talking to you, they know that on a subliminal level.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that, but how would the posturing have a have an effect on a relationship? Because we're talking about...
No, I don't think it does necessarily.
Okay.
I didn't mean the posture. I just
see.
meant the awareness, the consciousness of being in the moment, Because, in order for you to have good posture, you need to be conscious, right? So you're training yourself to be conscious when you go through the functional movements. And when you are conscious of your posture, it can begin the journey of awareness for you. As a matter of fact, if some people are not interested in meditating, they don't care about their spiritual life, they don't care about any of that. But once they start learning about being in touch with their bodies, okay, that's a beginning for them, because that's a consciousness. And once you get that consciousness, hopefully it will move you to the next level. Because it is the grossest part of ourselves, obviously, right? It's the part we can touch, the part we can feel, the part we can see. But there are other aspects of ourselves that are much, much more subtle. And the subtler ones are the ones that require a little bit more education, consciousness, awareness, and all that. So it starts with the body. And then after that, it just moves into all these different areas.
You sent us 4 goals that you hope to accomplish in the work that you're doing. Bring posture consciousness to the public at large, spread body awareness, help people understand how to use their bodies in a way that eliminates muscle aches and joint pains in conjunction with Straighten Up, and share the amazing benefits of insight meditation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just letting our listeners know what your goals are.
Mm-hmm. Right. And believe it or not, good posture will eliminate a lot of aches and pains, as I said, because when we're not using proper muscles to hold our bodies up, we're using our joints, just getting up and down from a chair. If you're not using your muscles to do it, you're using your joints. And what are the problems that people have as they age? Hips, knees, shoulders, necks. They're all joints.
All right, stand by. We've got to take our final break. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Lorie Kiviat is our special guest, and her website is loriekiviat.com. That's www.loriekiviat.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.com. Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Lorie Kiviat is our special guest this hour, www.loriekiviat.com. The name of her book, Straighten Up, is also available on CD. And the Straighten Up on CD is a 9-week program. The CD is available at CD Baby, and her book is available on her website as well as Amazon.com. What are some of the success stories you can share with us, Lorie?
Well, my own, frankly, to start with, my own success. And I feel so much better since I'm working with, I've done yoga for so many years. And I found that when I studied this program and I worked on it myself, I look better, my posture's better, I feel better, I just know it works. So that's my personal success. I've taught so many people with the same result. People tell me all the time, you're in my mind. I moved from New York to Florida, and I get calls from my students in New York who I've had for years. My students would be with me for 35 years, 25 years, 20 years. And they tell me now when they call me, Lorie, you're in my head. I hear you all the time. I hear you telling me this and telling me that. So obviously they're happy that they're able to do better for themselves just from learning the techniques that I taught them.
But what about people who are not your students, people who have bought the book, people who have bought the CD? What kind of success stories are you getting from them?
Same thing. I've heard people tell me the same thing, that they loved the way it helped them, and it was not that hard, and they were able to stick with it. So same thing, it just had an effect on them, had an effect on their lives and how they look and how they feel. And basically that's it. I mean, I can't tell you anything more than that. As far as I've taught other things too. I don't just teach that, So, of course, I hear from people all the time about different things. But as far as the book and as far as the exercises, and by the way, they're not even exercises. To start with, they are. But then once you learn the program, you don't need to exercise anymore. You got it in your brain. So, it becomes part of you. And that's pretty much what I hear from people. They hear it and they get it, and then it's with them. And that's the best part. That's the best part that I hear, because then I know that it works.
What are your final thoughts for the X Zone Nation tonight? Well,
they say you're as young as you feel. And when we're able to be active and involved in life all the way to the end of life, how can we help but feel peaceful, feel youthful, feel active, and feel alive? So I think that when people devote some time, believe in what I say and believe in what they know about taking care of themselves, exercise a little discipline, and perhaps just by practicing and they see a result, and they'll turn them on to want to do more. And, we need to take care of ourselves. Nobody's going to take care of us but ourselves.
Will Straighten Up help people to a point where they won't need as many supplements as they might be taking now?
I wouldn't be surprised, because a lot of the supplements that we're taking now are really not even necessary. But we think that we need this to feel better, we need that to feel better, and we go to the doctor and we'll feel better, and we get this test and we'll feel better. That's not what makes us feel better. What makes us feel better is, what do we do for ourselves? What responsibility are we taking of our own self? When we take responsibility for ourselves, then we see results, then we believe in ourselves, and we know that we can heal ourselves, because we can. We can. Nobody heals us but ourselves.
Lorie, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. X Zone Nation, Lorie Kiviat has been my guest this hour.
My pleasure.
If you'd like to get a copy of her book or her CD, this is how. Straighten Up, the book is available on Amazon.com and at her website, LorieKiviat.com. And the Straighten Up 9-week CD program is available at musicbaby.com. I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell, and as you well know, X Zone Nation, this is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Send me an email. Tell me what you think. xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.